Welcome back to the DigitalAction Podcast. This is Robert Brown with the Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative. DigitalAction was developed to inspire creativity and enable educators to network in real time and share professional learning experiences that ensure equity, access, and opportunity for all of the remote areas, regardless of zip code. Through KVEX Learning Platform on theholler.org, a collection of free resources and online professional development tools are available to aid in virtual learning and teaching in non-traditional ways. Part of our work with DigitalAction is to network with others who have to share similar visions. And today I'm excited. It's a treat for me, and I hope it is for you because I can't wait to get into this conversation. But I want to welcome National Board Certified Teacher Sarah Bracken, who currently serves as the Refugee Educator Academy Project Consultant of the Center for Learning and Practice with the Carey Institute for Global Good. And Sarah, I hope I said all that correctly. So
doing great.
And also on your website, you're talking about there are a lot more folks that are displaced now than before. So do you have an idea how many of these folks we're talking about in the refugee situation?
Yeah, current estimates are 79.5 million forcibly displaced people around the world. So these numbers are growing in ways that are pretty terrifying. To think about all that comes with a displacement for a family, not just them uprooting their whole lives and trying to learn about a new culture and a new language, but also I think frequently folks who are displaced and move into a new community are really undervalued, and the expectations are far too low for the contributions that they are ready to make to a community. And I think that one of the coolest parts of my job is that I get to work with teachers who see potential in all of their students. And they are reminders, these teachers are reminders every day of how important it is for us to consider a person's potential beyond maybe a language barrier or a cultural difference. So I feel really excited to have that as part of my life every day. So our sustainable learning framework, which was developed by our program director, Dr. Diana Willis, it's this idea that organizations that want to move forward with professional learning should be using evidence-based practices for how learning works. And so our main things is we say the word sustainable, which means that learning is an ongoing process. It's adaptable. And so again, in the COVID era, that has really been at the heart of some of what we do. How do you continue to grow your practice, continue to be a strong educator, even as you have to shift online? And so we also think that sustainable means that it's collaborative. You're not doing this work in isolation. It's possible you're doing it with your immediate colleagues, but maybe you're working on your own. I know you work with a lot of rural educators, so do we here in Alaska. And so my organization is not in Alaska, but that's where I live. And so I'm very aware of sometimes you're the only one, or maybe you're the only English language teacher in your school. So our model allows for collaboration within your own work, but also across networks. And then a big piece of our sustainable learning framework is reflection. We know that strong educators take time to reflect on what they're doing within their context. So our idea is to give a framework to organizations where their educators are learning, growing, working together, and reflecting on how that process is impacting their work. And I think that in some ways, none of this is new, right? But what Dr. Willis has done is she's brought it together as a way for organizations to set up a literally sustainable learning system that you can come back to again and again and again to grow your organization and its leaders. Okay, so what micro-credentials are that's special is instead of a general professional development, even the best PDs where you kind of sit together in a room, they're not necessarily geared specifically to you. You have to make some decisions about what you take away and what you leave behind. Whereas a micro-credential is based entirely on you. You bring this opportunity to demonstrate learning to your class. Or if you're a counselor, maybe you're learning about trauma-informed approaches with new immigrants. And so you're building your your artifact is the term that we use in digital promise, based around your practice. Every single thing you're doing is useful immediately to you. It's relevant immediately to you. It's just a kind of a new way of thinking about professional development. I mean, this is one of the things that Refugee Educator Academy is based on. Educators have experience. Educators know what they're doing. They are the ones who are face to face with students every day, with families. And our job is not to say, do it differently. Our job is to say, can we support you? What does that mean? Do you need some resources? Do you need an ear to listen? Do you need someone to acknowledge and give you credit for what the work you're already doing? Our job at REA is to connect educators and to build on their already existing incredible work. And so I think that what micro-credentials do is it gives us this opportunity, a real life person who's there to support you as you are telling your story as a teacher and what you already do. So you know that differentiation matters for all kids. You know that kids are different. It doesn't matter if they're from Eritrea or if they're from Austin, Texas, right? Like that child is unique. You know that. And so if we can support you in giving you some differentiation ideas or resources or acknowledgement for the work you're already doing in differentiation, awesome. That's what we want to do.